I'm Kelly Schaefer.
And I'm Heidi Kim.
And we are going to transform the way people eat dinner. Let's tell you a little bit about the problem we're solving. You're a busy professional, but you still need to eat dinner every night. Eating out can be pretty rough. It involves choosing what you want on a daily basis. It's usually unhealthy, and it's often pretty expensive. But going to the grocery store is not a good option. It might be healthier and it might be less expensive, but it's really time-consuming. It involves a lot of prep work, and if you're like me, a lot of wasted ingredients because you've bought too much for just one person. We are Fairweather Chef, and we are a meal kit service that's delivered to your workplace. A meal kit includes all the ingredients you need to make a delicious meal, and they're fully prepped. The vegetables are chopped, the meat has all the marinating ingredients. It's very simple to put the meal together.
There are some solutions out there that sort of solve these problems. Farmigo delivers CSA boxes directly to people's workplace, which is great because it's convenient, but you end up with a huge box of kale. Blue Apron is a meal kit service that delivers by mail, but they make you have a subscription so that you're committed to always having a certain number of meals every week, and you need to cancel that subscription at least 7 days in advance if you want to change your schedule. Fairweather Chef combines some of the good elements of each of these and adds some of our own twists to be the best meal service out there.
So what do we aim to achieve? We want to be healthier than takeout, cheaper than Whole Foods once you take waste cost into account, and easier than going to the grocery store and doing prep work. First, let's start by telling you a little bit about our initial pilot test objectives. The first was that we wanted to be able to provide healthy, easy, convenient meals. And the meal you see here on the right is the one we used in our prep kit. Our next objective was to make this meal kit available for consumers to pick it up when they want it, where they want it. We wanted them to actually pick it up on their way home from work, either from a convenient location like a daycare or from a moving location like a food truck.
We designed our pilot test with a partner at IDEO and a professor at the Stanford School of Design. First, we wanted to test the product to see if we could produce it, and we decided to do this by hiring a chef to create the menu and the meal kits. We also wanted to test demand to see if we could actually target customers who would get takeout otherwise. We had seen some evidence of sales at the market level, but we wanted to see if we could generate this demand ourselves. Lastly, our hypothesis on the distribution side was that prepackaged meal kits would be attractive if they were easy to pick up and did not require planning far in advance. To test this, we decided to sell in front of apartments at the end of the day as people were heading home from school or from work. Here are some pictures of the meal kits we sold at our pilot test with the recipes, and here are some pictures of our happy customers. We learned a ton from the pilot. On the product side, we learned it was possible to create these meal kits, but that cost would be high if we had to obtain our own commercial kitchen and hire our own chef. We were pleasantly surprised on the demand. We attracted customers who would have eaten out otherwise, and in fact sold out of all the meal kits that we had prepared for the test. Our marketing conversion was over 10%, which is higher than expected. On the distribution side, we learned that our method of selling in front of apartments on demand was convenient, but it was actually difficult to capture the attention of people who were actually quite unfamiliar with the concept of a meal kit. So after the pilot test, we decided to make two major pivots. First, we moved away from the idea of buying our own ingredients and hiring our own chef to one in which we would get a contracted supplier to make private label meal kits that we would then brand as Fairweather Chef prior to selling.
Our second pivot was to change our business model. While we originally sold directly to consumers, we are now testing out partnerships with employers so that we can sell directly to their employees. This is a change from a B2C to a B2B2C model and allows us to scale much more quickly. So how does this work? First, we contract with suppliers to create the meal kits. We've already secured a commercial kitchen outside of Boston to create our meal kits for our next pilot test. Second, employees order online through our website, shown here, which is now active. When they've ordered online, we then deliver the meals to them before the end of the workday. We set a pickup location at their company, either in the office lobby or the kitchen. So why is this an attractive business model? First, it gives us access to a captive audience. Through our employer partnerships, HR or office managers will actually send out our marketing messages directly to employees. Imagine an employee sitting at their desk, getting a marketing message from a company, and being able to pick up the product just steps away from their desk the same day. Pretty amazing. Second, this gives us great economies of scale. While some of our competitors spend exorbitant amounts of money on shipping directly to individual consumers, we will always deliver dozens or even hundreds of meals at once to employers every day. And finally, this allows us to scale much more quickly. Each employee partnership gives us access to 200, 500, or thousands of employees. So why would a company allow us to have all of these advantages? Fortunately, there's lots of advantages for them as well. First, employers are really trying to emphasize work-life balance, and they want to have perks that demonstrate their commitment to this. Second, employers are really pushing for better employee health and may even be able to get a subsidy from their insurance company if they offer Fairweather Chef in their office. And finally, employers compete on employee perks. Not every employer can be Google and offer every perk under the sun, and Fairweather Chef is an easy, free solution to offer a better life for their employees. So what are the assumptions and hypotheses that we're looking at for our next test? We're now testing running a bigger pilot using contractor meal kits branded as Fairweather Chef. We'll sell these meal kits in a pilot company in Boston. We're also going to test demand. Whereas in our previous pilot tests, we charged $8 per meal, we'll now be testing with $10 per meal, and we'll also be validating our assumptions on conversions. In terms of distribution, we'll be testing if high penetration rates are possible through company partnerships in order to get the scale we need on shipping costs. To test this B2B2C business model, we first contacted employees at 10 companies in San Francisco and Boston. We did in-depth interviews with these employees to formulate a survey that we sent out to some of their coworkers. The results we found were fantastic. First, we found that 57% of survey respondents said they were likely to very likely to purchase a Fairweather Chef meal. The average willingness to pay was $10.80, and we found that consumers would be interested in ordering twice per week with an average number of meals of 2 per order. Now, we know that what people say in a survey is not necessarily what they're going to do in practice. So we scaled down that 57% I mentioned to 8% using Nielsen data that compares intent to purchase to actual purchase. Our next tests with a brand agency in Boston are going to test these assumptions. We'll also be testing operational efficiency with our new supplier and our costs and economics compared to our model.
We've learned a lot from the tests that we've run so far. About the business model, we've learned that you can't expect to change more than one behavior at a time, and that convenience is king when it comes down to the consumer. We also learned that cost assumptions are usually low, so we needed to budget for things that were going to be above what we expected. And lastly, we learned that product itself is only part of the equation, and distribution and the go-to-market strategy can matter just as much, if not more. We've also learned a lot about the lean experimentation method. First, we've learned that listening to customers is key. In the case that we can't listen to every customer in person, we should use in-depth interviews to inform our survey development. We've also learned that what customers say they want to do is not what they always do in reality, so we should scale down our expectations accordingly. Lastly, we've learned that rapid testing is fun and accelerates our startup. So why are we excited about Fairweather Chef? First, there's a massive growing market. The grocery market in the US is $529 billion. The restaurant business, $580 billion. We think we can take a good share out of both those markets. In fact, the average household spends about $2,505 for food away from home every year. Imagine what we could grow to if we only take a sliver of that market. Secondly, this is an area with lots of customer pain and no great alternatives. Thankfully, we think we have an innovative solution, one with a great product and a business model that can be scaled quite easily. Thanks for listening to Fairweather Chef.